Hi, I'm Carol. I'm here to talk to you today about portion distortion. All right, be honest with yourself. Does your plate, when you dish it up, look like the one on the right or on the left? I'm guessing it's more like the one on the left. Guess what? You just fell victim to portion distortion. That is what happens many times to a lot of people when they try to do this by eye. Our actual portion size should be the one on the right. But unfortunately, that's not how it works, right? We want to fill those plates, whereas we should have plates that you can see the borders on. That's why that decorative edge is there to begin with. So what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to work with you on trying to find ways that you can visualize what the correct portion sizes should be, because you don't always have a scale in your purse or your measuring cups and spoons. So we're going to try to give you some visuals for it and help you to realize you can not be perfect at it, but be close at getting our portions under control. The first one we're going to talk about today is starch. This one's a big one for a lot of people because when they're making up their plates of food, they always are putting things on it. And the starch is one of the main grounded components in a lot of people's plates, especially if you're a meat and potato type family. So we're going to look today at pasta or rice. And when you're looking at pasta or rice, we're talking about 1/3 of a cup is what you should have. Okay? What does that look like if I don't have my measuring cups with me? Think of a lemon. A lemon is about the right size. Now, not everybody can visualize a lemon exactly. Maybe you're going to have to think about something else that's 1/3 of a cup size. But if you can, lemons are great. Maybe go to the produce aisle and check out what a lemon looks like again. All right. Not all starches are created round, okay? We do have a lot of flat starches out there, and one of the most common ones that people like to enjoy is a pancake. And so we're going to take a look at it. Now, a lot of times when you get a pancake, they try to fill the entire platter, right? It's not supposed to be the size of the skillet it was made in. So what I need you to visualize, because I'm sure you don't have a measuring tape, is what would 4 inches look like? If you can think of a CD or a DVD, I know this is dating some of us because now we have other devices to do it, but if you can think of a CD or a DVD, because they're still around, that's 4 inches, okay? So that's what we need to keep it to. It doesn't have to be as thin as the DVD, but it needs to be that size. That's what we're looking for, okay? Okay, let's try something. This one's a little bit trickier. This is dried fruit. Regular fruit, it's easy because you think of its size, but dried fruit means that it's been concentrated down. That doesn't mean you can eat the size of a regular fruit worth of it. So when it comes to raisins, you have to remember all that sugar, everything's been concentrated down. And so we have to be really careful with the amount of it that we eat. What we're looking for here is 2 tablespoons of raisins. Maybe you remember those little boxes that we used to be able to get. Those are closer to our 2 tablespoon portion of raisins, but don't have that. You don't have a tablespoon to use. What could we use instead to help keep us remembering what's the right portion? Think of a large marshmallow. Not the new giant ones that I've seen in the stores now for making s'mores, but the regular large marshmallow. That is roughly the size of 2 tablespoons. So you can see that when it's concentrated like that, we do have to be more careful with how much we take in.
Now, the trick with vegetables, this is what we have to keep in mind. When you're cutting up vegetables and putting them in a container, you have to remember there's a lot of open space with them. So as you're doing this, I want you to keep in mind that the raw vegetable, you're going to be able to get 1 cup of that. Okay, don't have your 1 cup with you, right? So what are we going to do? Let's envision a tennis ball. That's a great way to give you the idea of how much is 1 cup of raw vegetables. Like I said, there's that empty space, because they're rigid and everything. That's why it takes up a little bit more, and you get that 1 cup. Now, when it comes to cooked vegetables, that's when we go down to a half cup because now you've taken out some of that airspace. But keep that in mind when you're trying to figure out what would be the right amount of raw vegetables. Keep it at the 1 cup, the size of a tennis ball.
Now we're going to talk about proteins. I know there's other plans out there for getting protein because we do have people who are vegan and vegetarian and they might have dietary restrictions, things like that. There's a lot of, plant-based ways to get your proteins in as well. But a lot of us still do the meat. And I want to really focus in on how that meat part is done because I want people to understand that this has gotten oversized on us quite fast and we may not have noticed because like you go to the store and you're going through and you want to pick up a package of chicken breasts for say we're going to say that for today, right? And you look at them and it looks, oh, okay, so a chicken breast should be 1 portion size, right? Watch it, be very careful. I don't know what they're doing to these chickens, but they're getting bigger. Okay. And so the chicken breasts now have become large. What we need to do when we are getting a chicken breast, either from the store or we're doing this you get it at a restaurant or you have it at a friend's house or whatever, look at the size of it and compare it to a deck of cards. I'll tell you right now, most of the time, whenever I'm served one or I get one in the store or whatever, I look at it and I said, that's almost 2 decks of cards. The vast majority of time, you can actually cut that chicken breast in half to get to your 3-ounce size. Because I'm pretty sure you're not packing your scale in your purse to take it along with you. So that's something we have to keep in mind as we're going through is to really watch what the right size is for our meat portion. Okay, and it's not just chicken, it's for all the meats as well. So we go for our salad dressing. Okay, this is a kind of fat and we have to be careful with the fat. We still need them because there's good fats and there's bad fats and we need the good fats, right? So if we can go for a reduced fat salad dressing, some places you can actually find a fat-free version, but a lot of places at least have the reduced fat version. If you go for that reduced fat version, you're going to get about 2 tablespoons. Well, I didn't bring my tablespoons with me to the restaurant, so what am I going to do? If you can think of a shot glass, that's going to be 2 tablespoons inside of a shot glass. A lot of restaurants have been really good about this and they've actually started putting salad dressings on the side. And what they do is they put them in a little cup, which is actually about the same size as a shot glass, which is awesome. Unless you're ordering up 2 cups of those because you think it's not going to go far enough, that's where we kind of get ourselves into trouble. So, but there's ways to make that salad dressing stretch. You can very carefully put half of it on the top, eat that top portion of the salad, put the rest on the bottom portion. That works great. Some people have done it where they dip their fork into the salad dressing and then they spear their vegetables as they're going, and then they have a bite of it with every biteful. So they have that taste. Okay. So there's a few different ways that you can make that work, but that remember what the size should be. Here we go. Carbs. Something we like. There's other kinds of carbs out there, ones that have more sugar to them. And everybody loves to be able to have things like ice cream as a treat, right? And so we have to figure out a way to make sure that we're thinking of the right portion sizes when it comes to this. Now with ice cream, we're going to want to think about a baseball, but then you need to cut in half because we're going to be talking about a half a cup of ice cream. And you might say, well, that's not very much ice cream. But here's the thing. You don't have to have a lot of it to enjoy it. And that's where a lot of people get hung up. We have to remember that we can get the taste of what we want. We can satisfy what our little desire is for it and still stay in control. So you don't have that half cup running around with you, right? So think of that half a baseball, and then you will be keeping yourself in the right portion. Now, I know that there's lots more questions on portions because people will start going in, well, what will be the portion of this? And what's the portion of that? And if it's a combined food, what's the portions and all this? And I'd love to have had more time to be able to go through all those different things. But as long as you get the basics and you start to understand what the portion is, start to read those labels and see what they mark as the portion. That will help you start to gain control and build a better food relationship, which is what we're looking for a lifestyle change. So I know there's questions about it, but what we're going to do right now is I want to make sure that a couple things really hit home with you. And so I have a couple questions I'm going to ask you. So the first one that I want to ask you, it says, what is the best way to measure portion sizes? Well, the best way is if you have a scale and a measuring cup and measuring spoons, you know, all those measuring devices, so that you can get the exact amounts correct. But that would be in the real world, right? If the perfect world would allow you to do that all the time, we're not going to carry that stuff with us all the time. So how can I check portion size when I'm not at home? This is when you compare it to a common known object of that size. Okay, so we are comparing to things. Maybe those objects aren't the best ones for you to compare to because you're not as familiar with them, but you could find something that is about the same size and take that and use that as your visual. That's what we need to remember. Find what will be that size so that way you can go, oh, I need to make that about this size. Okay, I can do this. It won't be perfect. It doesn't have to be. It's because all it needs to be is that you're tracking and figuring out how much is the portion size. The last question on here is, when should I work on portion control? I tell people all the time, portion control is a great place to start to begin with, taking control of your food. This is where people, when they're first starting out, don't change your foods yet, but take it and find out what's the right portion size and start shrinking it down to where it needs to be. Then you can start making the choice and say, okay, you know what? I can get a better food to put in this spot. So portion control is a great way to start. Well, I am so glad that you are with me and you have now found out just how tricky portion control can be. Our eyes love to supersize things, and so we need to get control of that, and this is a great place to start. Now you're going to be ready to move on to session 3, where you're going to be learning about moves for everybody.
Hey, very good. Does anybody have any thing they would like to add?
That spaghetti bowl was pitiful.
Yes, it was. But when we're not paying attention, you know, the one on the left is actually the one we do rather than, you know, if we're paying attention, we don't get quite as much.
You know, I didn't see her or hear what she said about measuring that meat sauce on the spaghetti.
No,
that-
she did not say that anything about that.
3 ounces of meat.
No, I don't think so. I don't know how much what's a serving of ground beef? I guess I mean
About a third of a cup, I guess.
about a third of a cup, yeah.
No,
No,
you get a restaurants and they say a hamburger. That's
You're breaking up.
it's a quarter-pound hamburger.
Oh,
no, it's squealing or something, screeching, squealing, something.
I'll
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got the gist of what you were saying about the restaurant serving quarter-pound hamburgers, but that's not in proportion with the spaghetti. A quarter pound is 4 ounces. Yeah. But surely they wouldn't serve 4 ounces of ground beef with spaghetti. It's probably more like 1 or 2. And then you add your sauce, which, you know, unless you portion them out individually, you know, you would just go by, you know, the serving size on the package.
What I what I like that you said was when you're eating out. I eat salads mostly when I'm out, and I ask them to bring my salad dressing on the side,
Hmm.
and it's the right size in that little cup that she brings. I mean, that the waitress bring. I like that, and sometimes I use it, and sometimes I just slightly dip my veggie in there, as opposed to sprinkling it all over my food, because I don't eat a lot of dressing anymore, and that helps and saves me. I appreciate
Right.
that.
Hmm. And a lot of especially fast food restaurants, they're gonna give you 2 packs of dressing, and you really don't need it. One is plenty. If you put it
Mhm.
on there and then stir the salad up, or like she said, put it on half. And that's what I do a lot of times, is put it on half, because I may not always eat the whole
Yeah.
salad because the portions are so big in some
Uh-huh.
restaurants. Um, so you know, that's kind of what I usually do. But I like my salad dressings. I can't. It's hard to eat a dry salad for me. I guess it's what you get used to, though.
Yeah.
And you know, in the real life book, and I think in the My Day One, is they also give examples of objects to compare sizes to, portions to. Um, and you know, somebody that's just starting out, or even somebody that's been in it a while and just needs to get back to the basics, it's always a good thing to just start portioning your food. um Eat the same thing you've been eating, just divide it, you know, eat the right portions of it. And a lot of times uh it'll go, your weight will go down just because of that. um
One of the things that you can find in our life book is they have the little cards that you can get and take with you. Like, you know, we travel a lot on the road and we're in other places. And so they have the little cards. It's like a little book of cards that show you the portions and stuff. And I like that. Tops have that.
Yeah, and on the back of each card, it shows you the portion as well.
Well worth it. That's something really good. As a matter of fact, Rhonda, that may be something maybe at our next SRD. You get a
Mhm.
couple, you know.
Yeah, and new members, if you have some that you could share, when you have a new member at the chapter, um, just get some to show them, because that's included in the $69 package with the blue book. I believe that those are included. So that could be something that you show people. You know, this is one way you could do it, especially those of us who don't like to journal.
Yeah.
Um, you know, that's a good way to do it too. And when you're out of cards, you don't eat no more. So eating a salad at a restaurant so big that they could just split with someone, yeah, or ask for a box right away. Anytime you get, you know, restaurants portions of everything is so big now, you could share with somebody. Um, or, you know, eat off the kids menu if they'll let you. Some restaurants won't, but a lot of times an adult can eat off the kids menu, which is plenty big enough. But I usually wind up bringing something home everywhere I go.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
That's why I don't toss my salad, because If you let them toss your salad, it's done.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
safe.
I remember years ago, they used to have you go to restaurants and say, well, can I have a doggy bag? But they really
Yeah.
wasn't for the dog.
Yeah.
My, how things have changed.
Uh, All right. Does anybody else have any comments? Okay, so next week is moves for everybody. All right, y'all come back and join that.